So, you know, if you wear a hat, make sure it's curved brim. Don't do this flat brim thing. That's aesthetically wrong. Anyway, I won't get any hate for that. I'm just trying to stir controversy. Curved is correct. Cue Terrence Howard.
There are no straight lines, like if you look at this.
Right, even in a box.
Obviously another bad hair day. We're not going to comment on that. I don't like wearing hats. They give me headaches, so I don't normally wear hats. But I keep this one on the wall next to my front door. You should have a shot of tequila before we do this one. This is the preamble ramble. I stole that from Trapped Under Plastic. Who stole it also from, you know, Paint More Minis. So, a viewer commented on one of the recent videos with a pretty solid set of questions, and I thought it'd be cool, or, you know, maybe at least informative, and probably timely that it's, you know, meaning it's about time to answer some of these questions, so we should maybe take a look at what we're dealing with. Maybe get into a little bit of the business of filmmaking from a loosely practical perspective and maybe toss some real numbers around for just a few things, you know, sort of explore the edges to give us a sense of the whole, so to speak. You know, so you can kind of get an idea of the insanity or the insane prospect of trying to make a movie. Greetings, good humans, and welcome to Tabletop Alchemy, where sometimes we explore on paper the process of making a movie. Battle plan is a fun term, although this isn't really a battle plan just yet. It's really more surveying the battlefield, maybe, right? We got to survey the battlefield, then we can make a battle plan. And we thank our patrons for bolstering the ranks. Hooah! So, Redscope897 dropped this comment on the character brief video. So let me paraphrase some of his comment. Do you have a plan you are following to get the movie made? Ooh, I do worry with a project like this that it is easy to get caught up in the creative process doing things you enjoy rather than doing things that move the project along. Not talking about anyone we know, not at all. So often I see projects fail because they become wrapped up in creative processes and never able to move beyond it. I would love to see how you explore what the plan looks like and how you map out the timescales. How long do you think it will take to make the movie? When do you plan to start the first shooting? What do you need to do to get that far? How do you plan a project like this? Like I mentioned, this is a completely valid set of questions, and they're very important questions, and ones I am 100% confident we'll be addressing over time in this process. So how long do I think will it take to make the movie? So my initial guess is that from the start of actual pre-production to someone watching a finished film will be probably a year. And that doesn't count development or financing and that type of stuff. When do you plan to start the first shooting? Now this can't be answered yet, but my hope would be to start actual production in maybe spring of 2025. How likely is that? Your guess is as good as mine at this point. What do you need to get that far? Now this is answerable, and it's a big, big answer because there are a lot of things you need to get to the first day of shooting. So today we're going to talk about a few small pieces that are definitely part of that puzzle. So how do you plan a project like this? Well, that's like the $1,000,000 question, isn't it? It's exactly what I'll be showing and talking about on the channel as we go. So I was thinking about how best to show how I'm approaching, or how people approach, this battle plan to make a film, so to speak, and maybe to do that the best way might be to go backwards. Right? So let's start with the final goal. What is the ultimate goal of this entire endeavor? Someone watching a movie. Maybe I should say someone watching a good movie called Rangers of Shadow Deep. What is this thing here? Man, come on. Hair I need a trim. My barber is drunk all the time. You know I cut my own hair, right? That's true. So for someone to be watching a movie, the movie has to have been distributed in some way. And to be distributed, a movie has to be, well, you know, it sounds dumb, but there it is. It has to be completed. And to complete a film, it has to go through post-production, which, you know, involves all kinds of things. And of course, before a movie can go through post, it has to be produced, right? And in order to produce a movie, you gotta pre-produce it. I can see how this all sounds like I'm treating you guys like you're in Romper Room.
I'm going to see my friends in the magic mirror.
It's going to change real quick here, I promise. So what do we need to start pre-production? Money, plain and simple. And in order to get money, or to be less crass and more honest, investment financing, we have to develop the whole project from scratch. So development. Okay, so each of these things is a box, right? Okay, all right, technically they are rectangles, but get your 2D mind into a higher dimension. Come on, they're boxes. And what do boxes do? Romper Room style? Boxes hold things, right? And these boxes hold lots of things, yes, like Mary Poppins' suitcase. Now, over time on the channel, we're going to unpack all of these boxes. Hopefully one at a time. Not hopefully one at a time, just hopefully we're going to be able to unpack these boxes because we're actually doing those things. So let's open up development. That's the box we're inside of right now. So what's in here with us, and to where does this box lead? We need to secure funding. And to do that, we are going to need a pitch package. And in the pitch package, we're going to have a business plan and a box I'll just call bona fides. All right, so what's inside the business plan? We'll need a budget proposal, a marketing proposal, and probably some kind of sales projection type of thing. In order to create a budget proposal, we need to know what we're making, right? So we need a script, or at the very least, a very detailed treatment. And a treatment is just sort of a narrative outline. It's almost like in prose, but it's basically your story of the screen story, just laid out without sort of dialogue and stuff. Anyway, there's all different styles of treatments and whatever. Essentially, we need to know what we're going to shoot, right? Now, one of our key bullet points in our pitch package is the fact that our marketing plan is bolstered by the fact that the movie is based on an existing IP to which we have the film rights. Well, to which we have optioned the film rights, and so we will secure the film rights once there is a budget in place. And we should point out that while there is a core audience for the movie based on people who play the game, the movie itself should also appeal to fans of fantasy, right? I mean, anyone who likes Dungeons and Dragons or Lord of the Rings or the fantasy genre. Fans of the fantasy genre should dig our movie. Not everyone will, but the idea is that we're going to show our potential investors that we are accessing a much larger market than the core audience of fans of the game, right? That's a huge benefit to this project, which is kind of why, one of the reasons that I kind of chose to run with it, right? Now, sales projections should include what we know about who the audience is, and we should also include how we understand, or what we understand about that prospective audience. And obviously, case in point is that I myself would put myself in that audience. You know, this is going to be a movie I would want to see, and it will project the aesthetics that I like in the game and in the genre. And I think what I like resonates with a lot of people. I think a lot of us like the same thing, right? That's why we're kind of all fans of the same thing. So anyway, marketing and sales projection stuff probably require us to work with a marketer, to be honest. But basically, we also need to keep the idea of self-marketing. We need to keep that in our back pocket as well. The idea that we can market the movie without hiring a marketing firm, while that's not necessarily the wisest choice, but if money becomes an issue, we have to be able to show that we know what we're talking about as far as like we know how to engage the potential audience and we know how to do some self-marketing. We're getting in the weeds. There's a lot of weeds here. We're getting in all the weeds. Maybe we should take a look at what a typical film budget looks like on paper. Now, there are plenty of templates out there to use, and this is just one of them. But it'll give us a general idea of how insane this whole process is. I mean, look at this thing. Just look, I'm still scrolling. Check it out, man. So as you can see, there's probably enough headaches in this document for multiple videos and a Costco-sized bottle of ibuprofen. I mean, if this thing doesn't make you tremble in your boots, you're made of sterner stuff than I, my friend. At some point, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of like this film budget and into this template and start, filling stuff out and making it real. But we're going to step away from that for now, and let's see what's inside, say, the box of bona fides. And here we have stuff like the announcement teaser, and we all know the things inside that box we have to put together. And we can include things like maybe some key concept art, maybe a list of key team members like the cinematographer, wardrobe designer, production designer, maybe some visual effects artists, definitely our stunt coordinator and stunt team, things like that. Cast would be something to include in here as well. But that brings us to one of the many paradoxes we're going to encounter in this process. So you're making a movie and you want to cast an actor. And you also want someone to distribute your movie when it's done, and you need money to make the movie, right? Okay, actor, distribution, financing, or investment. So you approach an actor, and the first two things they are going to want to know is how much you're paying them and when are you going to shoot. But you don't have money yet, so you go chat with an investor, and they want to know how are you going to make their money back plus, 20% ROI. So you go talk to a distributor about selling your movie so it'll make money, and they want to know who's been cast in the movie so that they can see how marketable it is. So you see the paradox here? Each of these pieces wants you to have the other two pieces already lined up. So, there's that. There are literal paradoxes in trying to make a movie that come up, and that's why people say getting a film done is a miracle in and of itself, because it is literally an impossible thing to do. So now, to figure out what our budget needs to be, we need to know how much things cost, right? So let's take a look at some actual numbers, some dollars, like how much does X, Y, and Z cost? Now, obviously, there's way too much, like in that film budget template to get into in a single video, but let's just run with, say, one small part of that. Let's run with one line item right now. How about let's check out what cast might cost, okay? So to get some ballpark numbers, let's take a quick jaunt across the internet to visit SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, and let's take a look at their rate sheets. So here are some SAG numbers. We've got a rate for a single day of shooting. We've got a rate for a week of shooting, which is 5 days. And it's definitely worth noting that most shoots are working 6-day weeks, so that 6th day is overtime on top of the weekly rate. And these rates change with the amount of your budget. So you kind of need to know what your overall budget is going to be in order to know what you're going to pay your actors. So if our total budget for the movie is less than $300,000, we'd be paying the actors these day rates. But if our movie budget is, say, between $1 million and $2 million, let's say it's $1.5 million, we're going to pay these rates. Okay, so you might think that's simple enough, but wait, we ain't done here yet. These dollar amounts are what the actor is taking home. Production has to pay the actor's health and benefits funds, which are called fringes, and we also have to pay for workers' comp, we have to pay production insurance, and we need to hire a payroll company to manage payroll taxes and distribute weekly checks to the actors. And the payroll company is, of course, charging a fee for their service. And then if an actor is on location, in other words, they're not traveling to and from home every day, we need to pay the actor a per diem. If it's time to go get some, some Riesling to wash down those ibuprofen tablets, I understand. So roughly speaking, we need to multiply each of the actual rates, right? Each of the actor rates here by, say, 40%. We got to put into the budget 40% more per rate than is listed in this rate sheet, because that's what's going to cost production. It's probably a little less than that, but we're just roughing this out and we're being liberal here just to be safe. So our cost for an actor is roughly 1.5 times the rates listed here. So let's say we were going to work with $1.5 million in our budget. Now, everything is just talk at this point. I'm approaching this from the perspective of just trying to make something no matter what. And, whatever I have to work with in the end is I'm going to make something with it no matter what. So the idea of budget is sort of like a sliding scalable thing at this point. But anyway, let's say we settled on $1.5 million ducats to make this thing, which would not be enough money. It doesn't matter. Whatever money we have is never going to be quote unquote enough. But it'll always be, at the same time, enough to make something. So our cost for each actor would be around, say, $4,000 per week at this budget level. We know from our character brief that we have 8 characters in the war band, and at least at the start of the film. So let's say we were going to shoot for 5 weeks on location. So we're looking at $4,000 per week times 8 actors. That's $32,000 times 5 weeks. That's around $160,000. Now, today, we don't have any idea where we're going to shoot. But we do know that wherever we end up shooting, it's not going to be within a half-hour drive from anybody's house because of the nature of the story and the setting in the movie, right? And this is a fact that is kind of budget independent, meaning no matter what we end up doing, we're going to be shooting in some kind of remote location. So let's rough out an idea of what it might cost to just be on location for 5 weeks. Let's say we were going to have 10 actors and 20 crew for 5 weeks. Again, this has no bearing on specificity of what we would really be doing. You know, remember, we're just messing around on paper to get some kind of idea of what this production might cost just for food and lodging. So let's put down $35 a day for meals per person, plus $100 a night for hotel room per person, plus $15 a day for transport to and from the set per person, just to give us a round number of $150 per person per day. So let's multiply that by 30 people, and that's $4,500 per day to have a cast and crew on location. And we multiply that by 5 weeks, and now for this, we need to account for all 7 days of the week, and that's 35 days total, and that brings us to $157,500. Now, that's just for food and lodging. Right, that's to put 30 people up in a hotel, feed them every day for 5 weeks. Now, of course, when you're actually going in to produce something and, you know, you're going to go and you're going to look for deals, maybe you can negotiate maybe you can negotiate group rates for lodging and catering. Hopefully we can get these numbers down quite a bit, but also, I don't know if every week there's going to be 30 people total. It's highly likely there might be 40 people on set for certain scenes, and there might be a couple of weeks where we're just shooting with 15 people on set. You know, maybe not. I don't know. But this roughing this out just gives us something to keep in mind and put things into some sort of perspective. I mean, we didn't even add in airfare to and from location, right? That's probably another $600 per person. Right? And we multiply that by 30 people, and we've got another $18,000 bill to pay. Rounding everything up to make it easy, we've got like $180,000 for getting 30 people onto our film set for 5 weeks. So with that number and our cast wages from above, we're already over $300,000. And we haven't even figured in the cost of the crew's wages in there, right? And there's more crew than there are cast. So this here is why not a lot of people try to make low budget fantasy films, or maybe any films, or why most films don't make their money back because the budgets are so high, right? And there's a lot of business strategy stuff that has to happen at the same time as the fun, artistic, creative stuff. But I do find all of this business stuff and money stuff pretty interesting. It's not my forte. I kind of look at it, I look at it as sort of as a novelty, and I need to work with people that really like this stuff, and also people that are really good at finding deals and negotiating things, right? Because if it's left up to me, I don't haggle with anything. It's just like, whatever. You're going to charge me $200 a night for the room in this hotel? That's what I pay. I don't know. I don't know how to haggle about stuff. So you might be sitting there on the other side of the screen verbally abusing me or yelling at me like, these numbers are giving me pause, man. Why are you trying to do this? This is a waste of time. And of course, I feel that way sometimes. I'm not an idiot. Well, you know, that may not be entirely true, but every project, every endeavor is going to feel initially insurmountable. Like, I don't know what to say other than I want to take on this challenge. I don't know. Of course, I know it's impossible, but I also know that for as impossible as this is, all people do is bitch about how much content there is out there on all these streaming services. So somehow more and more people are doing this. They're creating these visual stories, and they all cost money to make, and they all take a lot of hard work to do. So whatever. I just, I don't know. I'm just becoming more fond of reminding everyone we ain't gonna be here much longer. I mean, us as individuals, you know, the clock's ticking, so to speak. Not to rudely awaken you or anything, but hey, the clock is ticking. We might as well do something challenging, right? So we'll dive more into the budgets and finances, you know, later on as we shove this boulder forward and we get to those steps, like in reality. But ultimately, I just hope this was interesting, you know, enough for you guys, even though it's all, you know, all it's probably doing is making people second guess my sanity, which is completely valid. But hey, man, this is what I say. Keep on dreaming and then go to work. It's the only way to get stuff done. See ya.